What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Next Guy Up podcast
Let's
weekend
go.
preview. You are here because we are the sharpest minds in college and NFL gambling.
Yes, we are.
We are here to give you all the bets, all the previews of all the good matchups, college and NFL. We'll do a little recap of what happened last weekend, which if you are a regular listener, you know that it was hot fire straight all weekend long.
We only win.
That's it. That's all we did all weekend was win. Zach Durham, 1-0. Mason, 3-0. Myself, 7-2. Also, we hit the Next Guy Up parlay at plus 381. I mean, find a hotter podcast. You can't. I dare you. So
that is a good. It makes up for some of our very bad weekends we've had.
We don't care about those.
We're officially back though, baby. In the last week, we are incredible gamblers.
It's true. The last 2 weeks, we've been doing very well.
We're getting hot.
You know, it just took a little time. You got to figure it out. We had to get data, and now we have it. We're sharp, and we're ready to dominate the rest of the year.
It's sharpened up, without a doubt.
I do want to announce, though, that college basketball is in our lives now. So,
yes, sir.
It's going to be a nice little distraction. I love betting on college basketball, maybe as much as I like betting on anything else. So, if you're listening,
college basketball is like the Wild West, man. Anything can happen.
But what I like to think about it is that there could be 100 games in a night, and Vegas can't have all those lines right. You know,
it's true.
You can see it. It's a pretty soft market where you can see just a little bit of money start coming in, and lines move quickly. Like
let's do it. Let's do a quick recap of the first half week in college basketball. Nothing crazy happened, right?
Yeah, nothing like
all the favorites won all their games by 35 points. It was pretty easy.
Yeah, the 4th-ranked team in the country definitely didn't lose, right?
That was wild. I mean, so Tennessee played that Michigan State team as like a little bit of a exhibition. It was for charity, so it was fine. Tennessee won that game, but barely. I was not expecting what happened to happen. Crazy. I mean, maybe they're really actually frauds and they're just not good. Probably not, though. They're probably going to end up being.
Can we talk about JMU coming out of nowhere? They join a power conference, the Sun Belt. They're not allowed to a bowl game in football because they're 2-year probation when you join, and they're like one of the best teams in college football as far as record goes.
Wild stuff.
2 years in a row. Their college basketball team won this conference last year, wasn't allowed in the NCAA tournament, and now they've knocked off number 4.
They're gaining power, I think. I think once they finally get eligible, it's going to be like they're going to start taking over. You got to watch out. JMU.
The Fun Belt, baby.
Their athletic director needs a raise.
they're gonna lose him quick.
He's got every single sport rolling right now.
Yeah.
Good grief.
Imagine the baseball team's next.
I mean, let's go. I don't know what they got going on over there, but they got something special cooking up.
We're in the powerhouse of Virginia right now.
It's true.
So definitely look out on Twitter. I can't promise like how much volume of bets I'll be giving out college basketball wise, but I will be giving some out throughout the season. I know Mason likes to dive deep on the stats of college basketball as well.
It's true. When we get when we get some stats in there, I'm going to throw some out. It will be fun.
I attended my first college basketball game of the year already this week too. I went to the Tennessee season opener against Mason's alma mater, Tennessee Tech. Put up a good fight.
Wings up, baby.
It ended up being a lopsided win. Vols are legit. Top 10 preseason. I'm just going to say it. Vols. I took a little bit. This is a bonus for everybody out there, but there was DraftKings was running a little bonus this week, a boost, and I took it for Tennessee to win the SEC outright in the regular season. So it was, I think, at plus 400 once it got boosted, something like that. So
yeah,
they're favorites, I think. So I feel pretty good about that one. The team is looking pretty feisty. They have a transfer from North Colorado that is lighting it up out there. Watch out for him.
Point forward, right? Like he can. handle, but he's just good, like to the basket guy.
Yeah, I would call him more of a, yeah, he's definitely like a shooting guard type.
Okay,
He's like a pure scorer, pretty much.
gotcha.
Rick Barnes, who's famously pretty hard on players for stuff, said his game is pretty much like his offensive game is pretty much NBA ready right now.
Oh,
Like he shooting wise and ability to drive the basket was a really big addition to it. A Vols team last year that was very defense heavy, but offensively had some lulls. And so I think this team could do something special. I'll be honest. I see that every year, but mean it this year.
it does seem like they can score a lot, but years past, you count on UT teams to just get in a rock fight and hope for the best. But it seems like this team, they could maybe score with anybody.
I think it could be frisky. I think it could be a fun year. I'm excited about it.
All right. Well, that
I know
is
this
our
isn't necessarily a basketball podcast, but
no, but we know
real
ball.
Quick, though.
That's fine. We know ball.
If anybody has done betting, you might know where I'm about to like come from when it comes to accidentally. If you've ever done betting, words with Mason, you didn't think you were going to get that segment. If you've ever bet before in your life, sports betting, you may have accidentally double clicked and then hit bet already on like a number. Mm. I was trying to do $2.50 high roller, by the way, just throwing out that money on a Creighton team total. And it was like over 87.5. And I hit 25 done. And I bet $25 right then and there. And I was like, shoot. Well, DraftKings, we're not sponsored by them or anything. So I'm going to bash them until we're sponsored by them. But I tried to cash out immediately. And it was like, nope, your cash out's going to be $22. So I lost $3 on my cash out. Should have just left it the way it was because they ended up throwing up 105 points against Florida A&M that scored 54 points. So it was 105-54. Just a little Mason. Side note on the.
You're a coward.
We know some out there that meant to bet $10, bet 100. I'm not going to say who you are, but I've been in that boat.
In case your wife doesn't know about that.
Yeah. But just throwing that out there of like, if anybody's ever had the tens, have you had that happen before? You accidentally like bet 1,000 or something?
1,000. What do you think? What do you think my unit size is out here? Yeah, no.
Is it $100? Yeah, go ahead.
No, I've done it. It's not fun because especially when the cash out, you're like, oh, but you have to take it because you're just gonna be nervous the whole time.
I'm pretty sure BetMGM, if you double click something, like it's so easier on one of those apps to like accidentally do it.
Caesars is really easy to.
Yeah, like at least DraftKings, you have to go down to the bottom and hit like confirm, and then it asks you again, are you sure you want to place this? So like, sometimes my brain, I just hit the double click, and I'm like, dang it, what did I just do? But Caesars is like, they know what they're doing because it's like super easy to accidentally do that. I'm sure it happens all the time, but just wanted to throw in a little side story.
And like parlays and player props, you're not getting a cash out. So make sure you're paying attention to your bets. I was surprised they offered you one for a team total over, to be honest. It's normally just straights, like either like a over under, like a normal line or a money line they'll offer cash outs. That was so I wish you would have just rolled with it, but it's not my $25. I almost went and bet $25 after you cashed it out just to be a tool, but it moved. Like I was talking about college basketball lines, they move fast. Like within the 10 minutes of us talking about it, it moved up 1.5 points. I was like, oh, I'm not. That's you can lose just like that. So I'm good.
Yeah, tough. All right. So
well, I did the recap of our gambling record over the weekend, and Zach even hit his lean. Ole Miss -3 was push technically.
Got the push, we'll take it.
That's push.
Why I was a lean. I was nervous. I will say that I have not sweat out a game like Washington and USC in a long time. First half, I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's going to come down to this last daggum possession," and I was hardcore sweating it out. At this point, I'm on a little bit of a streak. My college football betting is it's getting to the point where I'm like, I can't mess up now because I've had a streak going. So we're going to try and keep it going today. I feel good about it.
It was funny. Saturday night, we were texting and watching the game and everything, and Morgan was like, "Your phone is blowing up." I was like, "Yeah, Zach's stressed out about that bet."
It was me.
And she was like, she's like, isn't that what you do to them with your bets? I'm like, yeah, no, that's why I'm not judging Zach at all because I do this a lot. I just blow up.
Usually all of my other ones so far have been pretty easy hits. This was the first one that I was like, oh man, I was hoping it was going to be a blowout. It was not. At the end, it all came out. Yeah. I said I'm betting this because I think USC's defense is awful. Turns out it was. They fired their defensive coordinator over this game, and because of some past games, whose last name is literally Grinch. That's some wild stuff from USC. I don't know how he's made it this far with the defensive performances they've put up this season, but I felt pretty good about that pick. A hit, so all was well. But I did have to sweat it out.
Was it 5 or 6 text messages in a row that you sent? Because
it was more than that. It was a lot. Because it was watching that game and trying to root for Washington was just the most.
It was hard
because their defense was like water. It was like Caleb Williams was just rolling through it like time. They couldn't stop him for anything, if not for a couple of well-timed, like one well-timed turnover, and they finally got one stop at like the very end. What had happened is they eventually resorted to just wasting clock, is what Washington ended up doing. They had like 7 minutes left, and they were like, let's take our time with this. And they ran it down to like a minute and a half, and then all they do is stop them one time, and it was kind of done. But it turned out that USC's defense was just worse than Washington's bad defense, which turned out to be the difference maker.
Which is saying something, because they were bad.
Both quarterbacks are very good. I mean, Caleb Williams is – it's a bummer for him with the defense he has. Because, I mean, he still had a great performance. 42 points will win a lot of football games.
Yep.
That one. Tough break for him.
Tough break. Well, before we dive into – Zach's got some trivia for us today. And so before we do that and we finish up like our weekend recap, the Tennessee Titans announced today or maybe yesterday, I can't remember now, officially, Will Levis will be the starter the rest of the year. So it is over for Tannehill. Got a good stretch there. I just want to see how you guys feel. If we're happy, sad, it was a time for him to be done.
Yeah, that Will Levis, 0 touchdown, 1 interception, 4 sacks, and a QBR of 34.5 really must have sold him during the Steelers. And we even had a chance at the end, multiple chances, pass interference on that going down the field marching. Had multiple. I was like, oh, that was a horrible pass. He's not even wide open. Pass interference on Steelers. They got destroyed by penalties.
Yep.
And they just kept giving us chances, and Will Levis did not take advantage. I get it. He's a rookie. But I'm just like, I do have a fun stat for you. How many touchdowns, speaking of touchdowns, how many touchdowns? So Tannehill, we had the bye. Tannehill got hurt against Baltimore overseas. So he's got 5 games he's played this season. How many touchdowns did he throw?
4.
Tannehill? 3.
He's thrown 2 touchdowns.
Oh.
How many interceptions has he thrown?
6.
5.
6 interceptions.
Ow.
So Will Levis has thrown, in his first game, he threw double the amount of touchdowns and no interceptions in that first game. So I get it.
Pretty good.
But then we play the Steelers defense, and I was like,
an actual defense?
That game was also kind of meh. The whole thing was meh. So that's my reaction, is a meh. There you go.
I think you had to do it. I think Tannehill has looked very bad. And I get it. He's kind of come back from injury, and there's some stuff there, but he's looked bad enough where it was like we need to change. The injury gave us a nice excuse to try some other things out. The thing that's abundantly clear is that Malik Willis must just be terrible.
He's so bad, dude.
Now he's third on. He dropped all the way down to third. He didn't really get any kind of shot at proving himself. They talked about playing both. Maybe it was just that Will Levis looked good enough to feel good about keeping him out there. Malik Willis, you have to wonder if he's going to get a second chance, if he's going to end up on another team somewhere, if he's going to get a shot at at least competing for a starting job.
No,
but it just seems like he's kind of bad.
He's a practice squad guy.
which is a bummer. Wasted draft picks everywhere.
Yeah, no.
Are we surprised it's the Titans?
That's true, Mason.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I just wanted to see how we felt about the changing of the guard.
But pretty quickly, I think a lot of Tennessee fans that were skeptical, as soon as he threw the 4 touchdowns, it was like, I think it was how bad that Tannehill looked. It made everyone a little bit more receptive to anything positive.
Yeah.
The quarterback play had been so like mid the entire year that as soon as we saw like what looked like a real quarterback play, it was like, holy cow, he is the savior. Even if he's probably going to be very mediocre the rest of the year because he's a rookie. And I mean, at the end of the day, he's not CJ Stroud. He's not going to come out and win Rookie of the Year or whatever, which CJ Stroud's probably going to win. But he looked like a serviceable quarterback, which at this point was a welcome to what we had seen so far.
All right. Well,
that's what I'll say.
That's all. I'm sure we'll have a lot of Titans talk next week. They play a team somewhere in Florida, so we'll see what happens.
The Dolphins?
The other one.
Bucks.
You play them this week. All right. Zach's trivia time.
Ooh, trivia time. Okay, so this actually is a timely. I was having a conversation with someone, and we were talking about how it seemed like the Titans just were always kind of that in that middle of the road. I mean, that was kind of Jeff Fisher's thing where he was like, 8 wins, barely make that wild card spot type of football being played in. I was trying to think about where the Titans land in the landscape of all teams if you were to like talk about their last little bit. So what I did is I found some stats, which are teams' total record since the year 2000, which just happens to be when the Titans kind of moved to Nashville and became a team. So that was kind of why I picked that time frame.
Okay.
So it gives their total win percentage in that time frame. So from every NFL team.
Yep.
From 2000 to 2023. So let's start at the top. I want you guys just to guess and see if you can how far we can get on this list, and we should talk about it a little bit. I think it'll be interesting.
All right, let's get it.
Who do you think is number one, the best winning percentage since 2000?
Patriots.
Pretty easy.
Patriots, yeah.
About 70% win percentage. Obviously, have 6 Super Bowls in that time. They've made 18 out of 23 playoffs since then. So pretty good. Okay, who's next? This one's going to be interesting, actually. It gets pretty weird after that.
I'm going to go with the Steelers.
It is the Steelers. It is the Steelers. About 64% win percentage.
Always
14 playoff appearances and 2 Super Bowls. Okay, next.
Let's go Colts is my guess.
Colts are number 6.
I was going to say 49ers.
59.5%. 49ers are not close to the
They had some bad years.
Yeah, you're
right.
The
Eagles. Let me get them Eagles.
Eagles are number 5.
Okay.
That's 59%.
Packers.
There's a lot of teams around that.
Packers
number 3.
You had Brett Favre and Rodgers. Dang.
They are 62%. Yep. There's one more team in that top 5.
Let's go. It's going to be I don't know. The Broncos.
Broncos actually number 11.
Dang it.
53%.
Golly. Let's see. Let me take a stab at it. I'm going to go. Huh?
You have 1 through 6 except for number 4.
Golly. I'm trying to think. I have no idea.
It's the Baltimore Ravens.
Ravens, shoot! I thought they were
right at about 60% as well.
That's
2 titles in that era. 14 playoff appearances. So before we start doing some trends, let's talk about around at the top 10 for you. New Orleans Saints number 7, Seattle Seahawks number 8, Chiefs are number 9, which is kind of wild considering the last couple of years, but
Yep.
it's the whole 23-year segment. And then number 10 is the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay.
Okay, let's talk about the bottom now.
Cleveland Browns.
Cleveland Browns is last. Correct. 34%. Only 2 playoffs made. Only 1 playoff win. Next.
I'm going to go Texans.
Only one team has 0 playoff wins since the year 2000.
That'd be the Lions.
It would be the Lions. 0 playoff wins. Number 30.
If you listen to the pod before the season even started, I had that stat out. It was the Lions.
Yeah. There you go. Next.
So the Texans weren't a team until 2007.
It's the win percentage, though. It's okay.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Shoot.
If
it was... Dolphins were bad there for a while.
Dolphins they're
bad for
number 16, time. Actually.
Oh, I was very wrong.
Number 30?
Probably the 10? Jags. The Jags?
They are the Jags. 38%. 4 playoff appearances, 4 playoff wins. That's actually a pretty good comparison there.
It's just like when we get in the playoffs, we win, but then it's like 10 years in between.
Okay, so where do you think the Titans land? That was where this conversation started, kind of.
I would have guessed 16.
They're number 13.
13?
51%. Almost exactly half their games.
Can I guess 50%? The New York Giants, when Eli Manning went like 50% in his whole
They're actually
career.
47%. Exactly 50 is the Los Angeles Chargers, which used to be the San Diego Chargers. But.
Yeah.
Okay, so a couple of quick observations other than that, and then we'll be done here. But the playoff game wins, it is astounding. The Patriots have 30 playoff wins. The next highest is 16.
Shoo-wee.
Double almost the next. So one more interesting stat for you. If you look at this list and talk about their win percentage compared to titles, it is kind of crazy. The top 9 teams on this win percentage list have all won Super Bowls, and then everyone else has won very few. So between the top 9 are almost all the Super Bowls. Number 10, Dallas Cowboys has not won, but then number 11, Broncos has won. And then the only other Super Bowls on the whole list other than that top 11 are the Giants have 2, which one was, some of them were kind of shaky there, but the Rams have 1 and the Buccaneers have 2. And that's pretty much it. So it was when I was looking at it, it was kind of crazy how consistently the teams with the most wins over time also have all the Super Bowls pretty much. Some interesting stats there for you.
The good teams stay good for a long time. It's like
they do.
They get good management and they don't let things fall apart. It's crazy. It's wild.
Isn't that wild how that works out?
Just like Barks Root Beer since 1898 has been serving the best root beer in America. Shout out.
That is crazy.
They're not
Shout
sponsored.
out.
Free pub? I'm not sponsored.
Free pub. I just am enjoying one over here.
We might be sponsored here soon. Just a sneak peek.
I realized that I kept drinking this can on camera, and I was like, well, I should probably say what that is.
So that is
Zach's Trivia, baby.
Zach's Trivia. Yeah, interesting stuff.
Oh, let me give you a jingle.
The Jaguars, they can claw their way back, you know?
Yeah, no, we've had some bad stretches here, guys. We had Mike Mularkey and Gus Bradley as head coaches on purpose for multiple years.
All it takes is a couple players, and all of a sudden it turns around. We see what happened to the Chiefs, who are only ninth ranked. You know, they become a little bit of a dynasty in their own right now. And
I saw
the Giants took a couple years, a couple big runs, and they made it. You know,
we're a season and a half of having Doug Peterson, and we're 16-6, and we have 2 playoff wins. One playoff win and division title. So I like my chances with Dougie P. All right, let's hit the weekend recap. We were doing some of it talking about Washington and USC. That was a very fun game. If you're just a college football fan, you didn't have a bet on it one way or the other. It was just fun to watch.
It was fun. Yeah.
We didn't have a movement in the playoff ranking, which is kind of to be expected. That wasn't really like Oklahoma losing was the only upset, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I was very surprised that we didn't see Georgia pop back up to number 1 after their win over Missouri.
Yeah.
I really thought that was going to happen, but it didn't. And other than that, there weren't a lot of surprises. Ole Miss very nearly got handed a loss by A&M team that is not very good. That should have happened probably. It was a little bit of they kind of gave the game away there.
Fluky. Yeah,
it was, but they live to play Georgia another day. Fight for their life another game.
I guess LSU's quarterback got a concussion towards the end of the game, so maybe that kind of made it look a little worse than it probably was, because it was a pretty competitive game to start. They were trading punches.
Yeah, it was. I think it was a fun game. It was a bummer. It was a pretty bad hit, and Jane Daniels is out, which you hope he comes back, because I mean he's been playing very, very well, even kind of similar to Caleb Williams and Penix Jr. Is we see this trend of like elite quarterbacks playing for mediocre defensive teams that just keep putting them in jeopardy. But it makes their stats incredible because they have to score a jillion points in order to win. So
yeah, his stats are off the charts. I mean, he would be more of a Heisman favorite if they could stop anybody and they have a couple more wins, because his stats are up there with Caleb Williams and Penix Jr. So it does stink for him. I've enjoyed watching him play this year. He's been fun to watch.
Yeah, I agree.
Dicing it up down there in LSU. And then I did want to say that I think we talked about it a little bit in text, but the Big 12 has to be like outside looking in at this point. Oklahoma is not – I think even if Texas beats them in the Big 12 championship game, it's not a good win anymore. And Oklahoma State has turned it on, and they might just say, hey, guess what? We're not going to let Oklahoma or Texas win our conference and then leave. Like, sorry, not going to let it happen.
Yeah, Oklahoma State could very well end up in that Big 12 championship at this point, which is pretty hilarious.
That's not a team I think Texas wants to see. Just the style of play they have, it's not like Texas wants to spread you out and play, spread offense and high scoring. And Oklahoma State's like, nah, we're just going to make it really, really gross physical game. So I don't know. I don't see, because I know you sent that text about Texas, that guy talking about Texas getting in over Alabama, and it's just like, I don't know. I don't see how a 1-win or a 1-loss Texas gets in.
Yeah, I was listening to a podcast, and it was Reese Davis, actually. He was claiming pretty boldly that he thought Texas had all but punched their ticket into the playoffs already with Oklahoma losing. And I was like, I don't understand that, because the playoff rankings come out and Oregon is clearly ranked ahead of Texas. So to me, if Oregon doesn't lose, I don't see how a Texas team could jump them at this point. I know that they have a better win over Alabama, but I think that still doesn't outweigh what Oregon has done, and especially if Oregon can go back and beat Washington, who's number 5 right now. I don't see a way that a 1-loss Oregon doesn't get in if the opportunity's there. If they beat Washington, win out. That's my take. But I think there is an interesting conversation to be had. I think it's becoming increasingly likely that we have 3 or 4 elite 1-loss teams when it's all said and done, and a max of 3 undefeated teams at this point. Like, I think you might have an undefeated Georgia, an undefeated Florida State, an undefeated Ohio State or Michigan potentially, unless Penn State can do something miraculous this weekend, which would be hilarious.
It would be very
and no one get in. But I think there is a potential for 3 undefeated teams and there only being 1 spot left over for a 1-loss conference champion. And we could have a couple of them. Like, you could have Oregon and a Texas, and I mean, potentially if Alabama beats Georgia, presumably SEC championship game, that could be very interesting as well. So I think that's kind of our look where we're looking at is those 1-loss resumes, because I think it's going to come down to it when it's all said and done. Undefeated and you're in, but there's going to be a lot of good 1-loss teams with some good resumes that can make an argument, I think.
Yep. Further pushing the 12-man playoff that we'll be getting next year, right?
Very fun. Yeah, next year. But our 14 playoff prediction still looks strong right now.
Still looking strong. We just
Seems look good.
Michigan to block out all the distractions, keep stealing signs,
get shut down by the NCAA or something.
Yeah, we don't need that happening.
It wasn't entertaining. Not a lot of. There were some upsets that were cooking that didn't materialize all the way
out. Yeah.
But boy, there were some teams on the ropes. Texas was very much so on the ropes.
You took that bet, didn't you? Your top 4.
Oh, I took it.
10s. Yeah, 10s did.
16 the payout, 153. So
sounds like a winner to me.
My cash out went up. My cash out's $18. I can make $2 right now.
Make a profit, baby.
Dang.
Profit's profit. Speaking of profit, let's switch over to the most profitable business in America. That'd be the NFL. Mason, dare I say that the Bengals are back, baby?
Uh-oh.
I may have sent a text about them winning their division. They're at plus 270. Haven't decided if I'm going to give it out as an official play or not. Might be hitting Twitter by this time tomorrow. But yeah, I think healthy Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase to get banged up a little bit in this game, but you can see like when Joe Burrow's healthy with a decent offensive line in front of him, you see the team that went to the Super Bowl. Like they're explosive all over the field. Their defense has got playmakers on all 3 levels. They're a very well-rounded team with a top 3 quarterback. So I love this Bengals team. I think the Ravens, there's a lot of inflated numbers in a lot of their stats. Their defense is playing great, but if you look like deep dive into Lamar's numbers, they're not that great. And they're getting a lot of turnover luck and a lot of like easy short fields, and they've had very good matchups the last few weeks. And so I think the Ravens could come down to earth. Bengals plus 270. It's pretty good value for a team that could go on a run right here.
I got 2 things. Sneak peek about the Ravens defense, by the way, for later in the episode. Keep you around a little bit longer to see what I'm talking about. And then you sound like Dave Portnoy right now. Did you know what bet he placed? 10s?
$67,000
on the Bengals to do what?
To win the Super Bowl.
To win the Super Bowl for $1 million payout. I thought that was wild. Of course, the guy is a millionaire, so $67,000 is like pennies to him. But you sound like Dave Portnoy over here. Did you also place $67,000 bet on them to win the Super Bowl?
No, I had a free $5 bet I put on them though.
Oh. That money, baby, throwing that out there.
So the first year gambling was legal in Tennessee was the year they went on their Super Bowl run, and I took them in the middle of the year to win their division. I liked what I saw, so I've always had I respect the Bengals. I like them. I think they're good. So I have no issues rooting for them as far as betting wise goes. Now, if they were to play the Jags in the playoffs, I don't care. I hope they fall off a cliff. All of them. So I don't know. Plus 270. I don't know. I just think they're back. I think they embarrassed the Buffalo Bills, who I think are not going to make the playoffs at this rate. It is minus 110 either way for them to make it or to not make it.
That's big for you, Tins.
It would be
you've been on the anti-Josh Allen train the entire season.
The summer. Like
you're looking pretty smart right now.
If they don't make the playoffs, I'm gonna have to send Morgan, the intern, back in time to all the episodes to make a super cut of all of my Josh Allen slander. There's a lot of it. You
had a lot of it.
There's a lot of
it. Consistent.
And if she makes a video while she's playing you just trashing them, go ahead and get like text messages of our group text and throw them up there as well on the screen because you. What is it? Bills, that's a text or something. LOL Bills, that's a text.
Anytime they have a turnover or a touchdown against them, because they're always in prime time, I'll just send Bills, LOL, that's the text. But if Josh Allen throws a pick, I just say Josh Allen, LOL, that's the text. I don't say anything else. We know what I'm trying to say. He's so overrated, and I love it. I do. I love it.
Real quick, hold on. So Carson Wentz got signed with the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a side by side. They were drafted within a year of each other. Side by side of their statistics, it is wild. I don't have it in front of me, but Carson Wentz, someone that wasn't even on a team,
Yep, he wasn't
had
on a
almost
team.
the exact same statistic, like almost identical, like
It's not
passer
great.
rating, completion, everything, touchdowns, interceptions. It was wild. And he wasn't on a team. I almost feel like the Josh Allen brand hyped him up so much that he's untouchable. And then Carson Wentz over here, not the flashiest, not the most like, it's not the Josh Allen flair. It did not have rushing touchdowns and rushing yards. I will say that, just passing. So Josh Allen did have a little bit of leverage on that, I will say, but it's just wild. I think there's a Josh Allen like market, like people are selling, like those fans love him as a person, love his style, and so he's been sticking around, and everybody hypes him up. Where Carson Wentz didn't have a job until now, and he's a backup quarterback, and he had almost the same statistics. It's insane.
Yeah, no, it's just the fact that he plays for the Bills, America's fake team of, oh, everyone loves the Bills. They're so great. Their fans are awesome. They body slam picnic tables and eat buffalo wings. Like, no one cares. I don't care about the Buffalo Bills fans. I think they're dumb. They call themselves Bills Mafia. They're idiots. The last time they got to go to the playoff, or the first time they got to go in the playoffs in like 13 years, in 2017, the Jags beat their butts with Blake Bortles. How embarrassing! So, no, Bills, you're not making the playoffs. Have fun sitting at home watching this year, Josh. You can actually go to the Pro Bowl. You can't have the excuse of, oh, I was in the playoffs, I'm skipping the Pro Bowl. So good for you, Josh.
I would like to have a tally of back-to-back weeks. So 0 layoffs, by the way, still, and we've not missed an episode. However, back-to-back weeks of trashing an entire fan base. Mason, myself, destroyed the Steelers fan base of their behavior at the game.
It didn't go well for us, Mason.
Yeah, I didn't.
They ended poorly, let's be honest.
I don't want to talk about it. And then Tinsley destroying and trashing the Bills fans. So if there's anybody up there in Buffalo or Pittsburgh listening to us, just look this part, just skip through, and then you'll be fine.
Come find me on Twitter.
Thinking back now, I think Mason gave the Steelers bulletin board material last week.
Oh, no.
Bulletin board? What does that mean?
You called out their whole fan base.
You gave them and their whole fan base bulletin board material. They were like, let's do this to show Mason from Next Guy Up podcast wrong. Let's win this game. I think you caused the Titans loss this week.
I did do that, but you're welcome, Steelers Nation. You're welcome. I did that.
You have anything to say? Official statement?
You want to apologize?
Nah, I
still tighten up, Nation.
Tighten up. I apologize, Titan Nation, but I stand by my stance. So you should have just been at that game. You would have been taking a nap sitting next to me.
I'm glad we started this podcast when we did. So we can have video and audio documentation of Mason's Titan fandom right now, because he's going through it. I know how much he hates Will Levis. I know the things he said when they were about to draft him. Like, I saw the terror on his face.
I'm gonna put this up on the pod. I think Mason's fandom for the Titans is in trouble right now.
Why are we attacking me right now? I didn't do anything.
I think it's in trouble.
It's okay.
Mason, how do you respond to that?
No comment.
His Titan fandom is he's on the hot seat, baby.
No, Mason.
And I already
have no comments at that.
And I have
this isn't even
all you had to say is, I have never been a more devout Titans fan. I'm a Titans fan for life. That's all you had to say, but he didn't. He said no comment.
Listen, because we're trying to stick to the document. We're off topic here.
Mason, this is not good.
Do you know who I have to blame for this? The Titans front offies.
Mason, if you switch to Jags, then we're 2/3 Jags fan on this pod. We can't
have that. You're right.
Oh, we can have it.
No. We can't. We will never survive.
It's just tough,
Mason, what have you done?
When you waste it, we just talked about it. We don't need to talk about this anymore. We're just let's truck along. We have so much to talk about.
Okay, listen. Maybe he'll switch to the Vikings. This is our last recap item. Maybe he'll switch to a Vikings fan, because you guys look kind of smart now. Not only are they in the 7th seed right now in the NFC for a playoff spot, you guys have Super Bowl futures on them, and Josh Dobbs plays there. So maybe Mason can switch to being a Vikings fan.
And reason 238 why I am having trouble with the Titans right now, Tinsley knows this. Probably over 100 times I was preaching, let's keep Josh Dobbs. He was literally in the locker room for 4 days, and he got us a win. He was in the locker room for 4 days, and he won us a game. And we have Tannehill and – wait a minute. Did he not? Do we need to go back and check my stats?
No, you guys lost your last 7 games.
Yeah, I'm not sure he looked great. I will say that.
On the Titans, okay, he was way cheaper than Tannehill. He's probably looked better than Tannehill. We almost won that game against the Jags. You're right. Yeah. He's looked better than – I said trade away Tannehill. Now he's worth nothing. He's worth the freaking popcorn in my couch right now, and we can't trade him away and get nothing.
Why do you have so much popcorn in your couch?
I'm a messy popcorn eater, okay? But listen, we could have kept Josh Dobbs. He's over here getting wins, by the way. I was actually going to talk about this. Was that a good transition or what? Because I was going to talk about Josh Dobbs practicing his snap with the center that he's never taken a snap from on the sideline before the game happened. They're also down. He led like a 70-something yard drive to win the game. And then we got Malik Willis out here. He would have been a better option as quarterback number 2 than Malik Willis. I'm not saying don't draft Will Levis. Well,
Mason,
I still can't believe that.
What do you call it whenever a player gets injured and then the player behind him is ready to go in the game and comes in prepared and ready to win and then does so? What might you call that kind of mentality?
You're about to say Will Levis, aren't you?
No. What are we?
Oh, here. The next guy up.
You might call him the next guy up. Josh Dobbs embodies that spirit.
He does.
Josh Dobbs taking the Vikings to the Super Bowl. I've got a 59-cent future to win about $39 on the Vikings when they were at their lowest point. And maybe we're cashing that out. I feel it. I can feel it.
Going to the Super Bowl led by Josh Dobbs.
The next guy up. What a story.
He's taking us to the moon, baby. Get it?
Not the actual moon.
Oh, well, he's also an astronaut, so he's taking us to the moon. Okay, we're struggling. Okay,
no.
Let's get back on topic.
We're having a mess around Monday on a Friday.
Let's get it.
All right, here we go. Weekend matchups. What do we like? Go, baby. Zach, kick us off because it's going to be Saturday for your matchup because you are the king of college.
All right, my matchup, king of college. I have not done this in a while. I made a conscientious decision to say let's not talk about Tennessee too much in this segment, but I think that Tennessee-Missouri is genuinely the most intriguing matchup of the weekend. There is a 1.5 point spread. Actually, Tennessee is favored on the road, which is saying something because Tennessee is terrible on the road. They picked up a big win against Kentucky. Missouri looked very good throughout most of the season. They took another loss last week to a Georgia team who most believe are going to be a playoff team. I will say, still not exactly sure how good Missouri is. They lost their best wide receiver, who has been putting up crazy numbers this year, Luther Burden, against the Georgia. So there's a couple questions there, but I think it's going to be a very, very good matchup. I think it's going to come down to it, to be honest with you. I think it's going to come down to, can Missouri stop Tennessee's run game? And then can Tennessee stop Missouri's pass game? And Missouri's offense was actually look pretty good this year. Missouri seems to be a pretty balanced team. So I think it's going to be a fun matchup. So that's my first one. I'm shoehorning one more in here. I think the second interesting matchup of the week, there's actually a couple big ones. I'm not going to mention Penn State, Michigan, because I'm taking a stance on not talking about Michigan. So here we are. Not really. I just don't think it's a very interesting matchup. I think Michigan's going to win pretty easily because Penn State's not that good. It's Ole Miss, Georgia. Ole Miss, Georgia is a big matchup this weekend. Top 10 playoff ranking matchup. I think Ole Miss, there is almost a 0% chance they win this game because I think Georgia is much better on almost every part of the game. But it does have some pretty big playoff implications. It has, if Ole Miss can pull off an upset, that's going to throw everything off. And if Ole Miss can pull up the upset, it is going to open up the SEC East competition significantly. Honestly, making that UT Missouri game very important as far as SEC East implications. So, some pretty interesting games SEC going on. There are some big games elsewhere as well. Like I said, I know Penn State Michigan is a huge matchup. Michigan's literal first test of the entire season so far. Like the first team with the pulse they've played. So
first team they've played that's probably in the top 40, and it's November.
Correct. Yeah, like it is laughable at Michigan's schedule.
Yeah,
up to this point, and honestly, it makes it to where you just have no idea how good they are. I still have no clue. Sorry, I'm not talking about 3 games in my best matchup. I apologize, but there it is. College football preview.
Yeah, we got a bunch of college games. You gotta hit all 3.
It's that time of season where you got some huge games coming up that affect the playoffs a lot. So,
and they're probably in all 3 different time slates because that's how college football works. They like to do that, so it's good. You gotta it's like 3 separate days in one. College football is a grind from 11 in the morning till 1 in the morning.
Yeah, if you're watching Pac-12, it's boy, it can get late.
And then if you're trying to catch up on units, Hawaii's always there for you at the end of the night, about 1 a.m. All right, I was going to talk about how this might be the worst weekend of primetime games we've ever had in the NFL. Here we go. We're starting off Thursday Night Football, Bears versus Panthers for the battle of the first overall draft pick, except for the fact the Bears have the Panthers draft picks. Who cares?
They just trade them back and forth.
And then we have the Colts and Patriots standalone game in Germany at 8 in the morning.
Riveting matchup.
Then, and this game makes me mad, Jets Raiders Sunday Night Football. They were trying to get it flexed with my actual matchup of the weekend, but Fox had one protection game that they could use for the whole season. They used it on the game I'm about to say is my favorite matchup of the weekend. And then Monday Night Football, Broncos, Bills. Again, with the Bills on primetime. Why do we keep doing this? They're terrible.
Pretty awful.
These are all pretty bad.
Now, granted, it's really not a good weekend in general in the NFL. There are some gross matchups. So I went with 2 teams that are leading their divisions, winning records, both coming off a bye. Very talented team. So I got the Jaguars versus the 49ers in Jacksonville, a battle of, somebody's Super Bowl prediction from season preview. So
who was that?
This guy, smart guy right here. Hey, I mean, the Jags are 6-2. The 49ers are 5 and some. Are they 5? Have they only won 5 games?
I'm stat checking you right now.
Yes, because they just went on bye and they lost 3 in a row. So
yeah, they looked
they
very
sure
good
did.
early. Yeah.
So, but I mean,
5-3.
5-3. So still alive right there.
What's the spread, 10? Do you know it off of memory? Because
49ers -3. I would be lying if I didn't say I was not nervous about this game. 49ers are very good, and they're coming off a 3-game losing streak. I don't appreciate that happening. I wish they would have won a game right before the bye. I don't see them losing 4 games in a row, but I'm not going to bet against the Jags. But
imagine how many players-only meetings they had in that bye week.
Imagine. And they traded for Chase Young. So,
yep.
That might help.
It might help a little bit.
Could be.
So, that is my matchup of the weekend.
We already talked about mine. The Super Bowl winning Vikings a little bit, but they play against the Saints this week. They both are 5-4, and the Lions don't look now, but the lead of the division, they are playing against the Chargers, which that could be a loss for them. So we'll stay tuned for the Vikings. Have gotten more coverage on this podcast than any other podcast in the nation. But that's all I'm going to say about that.
They're only a game and a half back from the division, and they still have the Lions 2 times.
That's true.
Wide open.
Don't look now. It's wide open.
Things could get crazy. All right.
Don't give me hope. I might end up dropping like a huge bag on the Vikings to win
Let's drop no bags on Vikings.
not the Super Bowl, but to win the division. That's looking pretty tempting
It's like
right
plus
now.
800, I think, last time I checked.
You're saying there's still
maybe
a chance.
Not a bag, but maybe
a half a bag.
When is Justin Jefferson coming back?
Next week. He's designated for
sure next week. Okay.
He's practicing some this week. So
he'll be playing next week, 2 weeks from now. Thank you. That is a big piece.
It's a big deal.
It. All right.
Maybe a
I'm emptying my
bag,
bank account.
Not a whole bag.
Okay.
Maybe
we can do that.
$2.50 accidentally turns into $25.
That's my matchup. Just wanted to throw. I'm not breaking things down on that one, but just wanted to. That's my matchup. So
okay.
All right, let's
best
knock out
bet time.
Best bets, baby. I can't talk. You want me to knock mine out since mine's not my parlay leg?
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, I also have a not parlay leg, so I'll do.
All right, so me and Mason, and then Zach.
You, me, and then we'll do Zach for the parlay, and then we got our legs for parlay.
Okay. Beautiful. All right, I'm going with, and this so plug your nose. Just trust me on this. All right, Bengals Texans under 48 points. I think Jamar Chase could miss the game. You are seeing the Bengals kind of catching fire here lately. You just saw the Houston Texans light up the Buccaneers, and you're saying to yourself, how on earth are you going to take an under in that game? Well, here's the thing. I think the Bengals have an all-around good defense. Their defensive coordinator should have already had a head coaching job by now, but he likes staying in Cincinnati. He's going to have a game plan for C.J. Stroud, and I get it. C.J. Stroud's probably he's performed the best of the rookie quarterbacks. He just threw for 470 yards and like 4 touchdowns. But it was a situation where the Bucs were not going to let them run. He had to pass. It was a back-and-forth game. Let's not forget, he had just scored 13 points and threw for like 140-something yards against the Panthers the week before. 48 points is a lot in the NFL. If you just blindly took unders every single week, you're up quite a bit of units this year. So I'm going to roll with the under, especially if Jamar Chase is not going to play. I think you need to hop on the line now because if he gets announced out, he's worth 2 points as far as the spread goes. You'll see it drop some.
Like that bet. Speaking of unders, I also have an under for you guys for my best bet. No one likes betting unders. I get it.
They're not fun.
I get it. Yeah, they're not fun. You're rooting for a boring game or defense. I get it. However, the Ravens, words with Mason. The Ravens are 12-2 on the under in the last 14 games. The Ravens have also held 3 teams to under 10 points this season. It's pretty good.
Pretty good.
The Browns aren't any better. They have gone under in 10 of the last 15 games. Give me the under. It's a low number. I get it. But 38. Under 38.
Guys, also, I have a lean I want to give to everybody.
Ooh, let's hear the lean. Do you want to just call this your best bet?
No, I don't.
Your best lean.
I'm only giving out one official bet a week. That's my new policy. But I can give it a lean. A bet I like, but I don't like enough to give to people. But I like it. So here it is. And you're going to know why as soon as I say it. Maybe the worst matchup of the week in college football. Vanderbilt, South Carolina. Here's my lean, everybody. Vanderbilt plus 14. And I'll tell you why, in the words of Mason.
Thank you.
South Carolina is tanking hard. In the college football world, that it doesn't make any sense to tank. You don't get anything out of tanking. But boy, they are tanking. They looked terrible last week against a garbage. Was it Jacksonville State? Is that who they were playing? I think it was.
Yes, it was Jacksonville State.
And they darn near lost that game. And Shane Beamer was in the locker room after talking about how it was a big win for the team. They were celebrating like they won something huge. I was like, this is bad. We're going downhill quick. Here's my take. This is Vanderbilt's actual Super Bowl of the season. I know that that joke was made about Tennessee, South Carolina. This is Vanderbilt's actual Super Bowl. This is their last chance to look like a decent football team this season. and I think they're going to do it. I think there's no way they go to South Carolina. South Carolina does not care about this game. Those fans are done.
They're done.
No one will attend this football game because no one cares and no one wants to watch this football game happen. Home field advantage will be nothing. I think Vanderbilt covers. The 14 points is a lot of points in a game that they're not going to score very much, I don't think. And I can't imagine South Carolina being almost even sort of interested in playing this game. Vanderbilt's going to come in wanting to make a statement. I think they do. They cover the 14-point spread. It's a lean, everybody.
It's a lean,
because
everybody.
I will never encourage you to vote to bet on Vanderbilt ever again after we did earlier this season. It was a terrible experience. But I'm leaning it.
Okay. Good lean, Zach.
That's
good
my lean, guys.
Okay. Who wants to go first on the parlay? Zach, why don't you go back to back? Give us your parlay.
All right, back to back, baby. This is my real bet. Yep. Here we are. I am taking Alabama -11. That's how you know I'm betting with my head and not my heart. Because I do not like betting for Alabama, but they're playing Kentucky this weekend. I think at this point, Alabama is looking at their schedule and saying, we have a legitimate shot. I mean, I think at this point, it's likely that they're going to play Georgia and SEC championship for a potential for a playoff spot, I think, really.
Yeah.
I think Alabama has played their way this season into a shot at a playoff spot if they can win, if they can beat Georgia in Atlanta. And so at this point, Alabama's ultra focused. There's a 0% chance they lose this football game. They are a much better team. They will show it. Kentucky has a lot of flaws. They're a running team that they've made it pretty clear that they like to run the football. That's kind of the essence of their offense. Bama is not going to allow that to happen. They have gotten beat by Georgia, stomped them pretty good. Missouri stomped them pretty good. Tennessee beat them by 6. I think they're in Kentucky. I think there's no way that Alabama does not win by less than 11 here. I think at this point, Nick Saban has to be putting on a show for the playoff committee, saying we're a legit team. Look at our last couple of games. Look at our schedule since the Texas game. We have looked like a playoff team. I think they're at the time of the season where they know they're going to be fighting for that. If they win out, they're going to be fighting with Texas and Oregon for that one lost spot potentially. And I think they know that their resume is important, and they're going to try and bolster as much as they can by putting on a show in Kentucky. So that's what I got. And Jalen Milrose looked like a very good quarterback.
Good bet, Zach. Okay. So I think it got it kind of went swept under the rug a little bit of the fact that we crushed that parlay. We did not go into details. Zach's was a little bit of a sweat. Tinsley's was a complete blowout. He can talk about that in a minute. And then mine was Kincaid. I went with a player prop. I went full research. It took Zach on a little bit of an emotional roller coaster.
That's scary.
Kincaid limped off the field a little bit. He's all worried. I was like, it's fine. It cashed in the third quarter.
It did.
I do extensive research, everybody. We all do. We take this very seriously. And I'm going to go another player prop. I just feel like this is my mojo right now. I'm feeling really good about it. Some of them aren't available right now, but this one I could not pass on. It's a juice box for sure. It's juiced, but it's in a parlay, so it's fine. It's fine. It's good.
That's what the parlay is for.
Terry McLaurin for the wide receiver for the Washington Commanders, over 4.5 receptions at -160. He has hit this mark 7 of the last 9 games this season. Let me go ahead and break down some of his targets and his stats for you, for each game. So he had last game 8 targets, 5 receptions. He had 12 targets. He had 9 targets, 11 targets, 4 for 5. That was one of the games he didn't hit. He had 10 targets, 8 receptions. You get where I'm coming from? He had 6 for 6. He's almost hit. I've not seen a stat where he's had 10 targets and 3 catches. That's like any wide receiver that plays for the Patriots. That's not him. He is like a 5 for 5, a 6 for 6, an 8 for an 8 for 10 type of guy. So when he gets those targets, which they're very high, he is catching them. He's almost the lead in all of his targets as well on the team. So I'm going to go Terry McLaurin, once again, juiced. I get it. You might hear this. because we're putting this out on Friday. We're recording a little early. If it's at 5, try to like get it to 5 so you get the push at least. But I really feel good about over 4.5 juiced. If it's at 5.5, you might just want to take the parlay with the 2. I wouldn't go any further because I was looking and there's several games where he only had 5. So let's stick with 4.5. It might be frustrating, shop around on books, but 4.5 is what we're betting. Don't do the 5.5 and then come back at me and say, what the heck? Because I did not bet that. 4.5.
I might do that.
Minus 160. Thank you, Zach. That's my bet.
There's ways of getting around that too. You can do like a juice same game parlay. It's complicated. I'm not going to get into it, but you could just do like the 49 or the Washington Commanders to score 3 points, and then his catches you can move the
and
line
then go
to like 5, and that way you get what you want. It'd be like it's not adding any value. It's just so you can get the number that you want.
Because by itself, it's not going to have an alternate receptions. Yeah. But if you do a same game parlay, you can get more options, especially on FanDuel.
Yeah.
Once again, we're not sponsored, but yes, Tinsley's
There's ways around it.
There's ways around it. Just find it.
They move quick.
I know people get upset about like, hey, you put this out and that's not the number anymore. I get it. That's just the world we live in right now, and it moves quick. So I hope it's still there when everybody hears this.
It's me. I'm the one getting upset.
Thank you, Zach.
Take this parlay on Saturday morning.
Thank you, Zach.
I've procrastinated taking it.
That's usually what he does. He's like, "What the Kincaid has gone up 3 yards? I'm mad."
Yeah, it's true.
That's what happened.
All right, verbatim. All right. To wrap up the parlay, I am taking Giants team total under 15.5. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, I am sharp. You're not going to find a podcast giving out bets like this for a parlay. Here's the thing. The Giants have gone over 15 points 2 times all year. One time it was because they scored 16 points, and one time they scored 31 against the Cardinals. Here's the thing. They're playing a top 5 defense in the Dallas Cowboys, who they've already played this year. Let me do the calculations for you. That final score was 40-0. 40-0.
Is 0 less than 15.5?
Slightly, by a couple.
Okay.
The Giants in that game had their starting quarterback, had their starting wide receiver, had their starting offensive line, still scored 0 on the Dallas Cowboys at home. Now, this is a team who is now on their third-string quarterback, starting Tommy DeVito of Syracuse fame. He's not an NFL quarterback, ladies and gentlemen. He is a Malik Willis type. He is not going to have a job after this. He will be a practice squad guy the rest of his life.
That sounds like a character from The Godfather, by the way. Tommy DeVito. Okay, go ahead.
They also have their starting left tackle is still out. The guy who replaced him is straight off the couch. Had not been playing in over a year in the NFL. He's had a few games back now, Justin Pugh. Their starting right tackle gets hurt. All they have is Barkley. Is Saquon Barkley. So I get it. It's an ugly total, 15.5. I know I screwed up his name. Everyone knows his name. Saquon Barkley is his name.
Saquon.
Sorry, I'm trying to talk fast here. So yeah, 15.5 points. They're not scoring 2 touchdowns on the Cowboys.
Under. You gotta say under. Under
15.5 points.
Okay, very good.
Love it.
Love it. Okay, I did the calculations. Plus 335, everyone. Plus 335. I already put money down on it.
I just did too.
Yep. We got to keep winning. You know, you win a little bit every week.
You keep stacking dubs, baby.
All right. So that's a pod.
It's a pod.
All right, guys. Thank you for joining us. Make sure you check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for all of our fun social media interactions, pics, graphics, and make sure you check out our Monday episode of Messing Around Monday. We're going to be kicking off the Thanksgiving season.
Heck yeah.
I think we got a fun draft planned. We're going to do some more brainstorming on it, but we are excited to talk about food, which is in our wheelhouse much more than anything else in life.
That's accurate. True.
Thanks for joining us. Have a great weekend. And I can't wait to hit a second parlay with everyone.
Let's go.